does that mean? First, you have to be.
That's the way it works.
No, you don't have to be. You don't have to be. You have to be mizboinen in this kav and then mizboinen in that kav. You don't. You're not being anything. You're not being anything because you don't really hate it. The emes lamita. And by the way, it doesn't say emes lamita by Sumerah, does it? So this boy in Gadol thinks of Baruch Hu.
Please do.
What?
Please do. And
Dismissed you? No, usually they don't like fruit people because they're too righteous. The lawyers think that.
You know, so much people in the jury duty. When you get a paper, you don't have to fill it out.
test.
So you want the mic on the side table?
What was that?
You put it on purpose on this table today?
Yeah. Because the other mic is very sensitive, and every time it touches the table, so I want to test it. Is it okay with you?
That's when I got into an accident sometimes like this, in the car listening.
Oh, really?
On the other hand, it reminds you to check it out.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Or it wakes you up?
You want, sounds like a, wow.
Who had Thursday?
Yeah.
Was the action already? I don't know. Somebody got fibrosis and left?
I don't remember.
No?
Maybe by Valora. I was on stage with Valora.
Actually, didn't somebody wasn't
Someone told you, or you heard it on?
Someone told me they heard it probably. Didn't listen to it. But it could be they were just
Yeah, exactly.
Someone told me who was listening online. It wasn't
So
somebody was there.
It's moving very slowly these days. I have to tell them that, either it's me, maybe I should be busy with the camera, so now that I'm not distracted by anything, I just because like he always says when you listen online, he says, make it like double speed, 1.5.
Who said that?
He said that.
Oh, yeah?
Not in response to anything, just like a fluid. He said, so catch it online, make it faster. So here I can do that. So no, because I lose content on this track. It's my imagination, but I think in the first round we used to go like.
Yeah? Morning.
Good morning, thank you.
You have the glasses, Shmata, to clean, maybe?
Yeah. My mitzvah came to me.
The shul sent out an email that there's no class this morning. They meant a woman's
They meant the
class.
one, yeah.
I told them a woman's, I guess the guy misunderstood. Everybody understood yesterday? Geirel, Purim, Yom Kippur. Only one question? Okay, good. Jury duty, yeah. I don't know if it's Lamaylam behind the das, but...
The title from Yom Kippur is 2 goats, 2 chances.
50-50, yeah.
Correct. The title from someone, and any other title, like a lottery or anything.
There's less.
Is one winner, and
Well, he probably had 12 months, so I guess it's 1 of 12.
it was 12 months and 30 days. So
Right, 1 of 30, 1 of 12.
12 months of combination.
Even more chance, even less. It's not 50-50, right?
Right. So is there? It doesn't seem to be a.
You're right. The girdle of Haman, the girdle of Yom Kippur wasn't exactly the same girdle. Here there's 2 goats. Here there are 30 days and 12 months. But that only means that the randomness is a little more emphasized by Purim than Yom Kippur.
Correct.
Yom Kippur, it's at least 50%.
It's more than that by Yom Kippur because there was also a question if it comes out on the right side or not.
That was another
So
issue.
it's really 1 and 4.
No.
Well, it was always La Shem or La Azazel, one goat or another goat.
On the right, 11. It's a 1 and 2 chance.
No, but if it's going to be Lazazel.
The question was if Azazel is going to, in his right hand, he's going to get Azazel, and his right hand is going to get La Shem. Besides which goat is going to get what, the question is what's on the right, what's on the left.
Maybe that's the same chances because
But you're right, by the statistics, by the Goydel, by Purim, you're right. It's not a 50% chance. In other words, the element of Goydel is a little more emphasized. So it's not exactly the same Goydel, but the concept is by both there were Goydelis, which doesn't seem, is not about a logical equation. You don't say, oh, you were Zoich in this Goydel. Why this day? Because this day is somehow connected rationally. The point is that the connection is one that's super rational. Or lower than rationality. Or not rational at all. Depends what type of Goydel, who's making the Goydel, what it represents. Let's go further now. We are...
I think I got out of this year yesterday. One thing I got was that there's Hashkacha, like Gorel, and then there's Hishtadelis, basically.
Right.
But we don't know what the Gorel's going to be.
That's
so
true.
We got to do our Hishtadelis every day, anyhow.
Yeah. No, we have to do ours, yeah.
We don't know.
Pasuk says, "Uberachach Hashem Elokecha b'chol asher tasa." Like we learned in the previous Maimah via Daita, Hashem blesses you in what you do. Right? So when we say that Purim is called Purim al Shem HaPur Hu HaGoyrel, we immediately see a similarity to Yom Kippur, which, as we said, Yom HaKippurim is Kippurim. It's like Purim, because by Yom Kippur there was also the Avodah. One of the major moments of Yom Kippur, one of its highlights were the Goyrelis of the Kohen Gadol. Yeah. The line is Chuli v'Kanal, and Kuf Chaf Aleph, column 1, or page 241. It's like 10 or 12 lines from the top. Chuli v'Kanal. See Kuf Chaf Aleph, the first column, around 12 lines from the top. Line starts Chuli. Jesus. Ach mekol makom haya talui ba'ofen hatshuva. Nonetheless, even though Yom Kippur, as he put it in the line earlier, is tali b'bchinas ratzon pashat mekayr kol ha'ritzonos. The idea of the Goydel is that you're connecting, you're suspending the decision, you're removing the decision from your own rational frame of mind, and you're conferring it on the Goydel. So on one level, it looks like it's just random, who cares? But on another level, we explained, this represents that you're attributing, you're connecting the decision to what's called Ratzon Pashut, the will of a person, and not just the will that's divested of any layer, which is Mekar Kol HaRitzonos, as the source of all the wills. The deepest level of will, which is the source of all the other Ritzonos, that really it boils down to the deepest Ratzon, and that's true in life. Also we see that the deeper you go into a person's essence, the less diversity, and the more the will becomes unified. In other words, if I ask you, what do you want in life? Well, a person wants a lot of things, right? What do you really want in life? Well, it's a little less. What do you really want? And according to the Balatanya, it's going to come down to a Ratzon Pashut, a deep Ratzon Mekar Kol HaRitzonos. Then there's the Ratzon of, this is true of every creature. And then there's the uniqueness of the Ratzon of a Jew. Like we said yesterday, a Yid nishta vil or nishta can zayin anifrit von Elokus. He once said a Jew, he can't, nor does he want to be separated from truth, from godliness. So that's called Makar Kol HaRitzonos, or Raiva the Chol Raiva. So that's what the Goydel represents, that I'm suspending, I'm being toila, the decision on the Ratzon Pashut, which, yes, you could call it random, but it's anything but random. It's actually deeper rooted in the person than any rational explanation. Nonetheless, there's a difference between Yom Kippur and Purim. As he said, Yom Kippurim is like Purim. Because by Yom Kippur, it depended on the manner of tshuva. Shara Yom Kippur ein mechaper bilti emtzaos hatshuva dafka. Yom Kippur atones through tshuva. It's true in Gemara Maseches Shavuos, there's a machlokes between the Chachamim and Rabbi, if Itzumay shal yoy mechaper, if the day itself atones with tshuva, without tshuva, or you need tshuva. The Rambam paskins, Itzumay shal yoy mechaper l'shavim, that the day of Yom Kippur atones, the Etzem day, it atones for the person who does tshuva. So Yom Kippur, the highlight is tshuva. Hagam tshuva, hibchines tshuva law, and even though the tshuva we're talking about is called tshuva law, which means a deeper level of tshuva, hibchines mesidus nefesh, which is tshuva, a complete oneness, a complete dedication. The tshuva of mesidus nefesh, where there's complete dveikus, you have tshuva, a lower level of tshuva, which is remorse. I did something wrong and I apologize, which is basic and wonderful and extraordinary. That's called tshuva tata. A person made a mistake and you apologize. Charat alavar, kabbalah lahaba. You regret the past, you make a resolution for the future. That's tshuva tata. Tshuva law means revealing the part of the person that never went astray, the part of the person that was never perverted, the part of the person that never sinned, the complete dveikus, the complete oneness that we always had, that you always had at your core. That's called tshuva law. That's why he says v'hibchidas mesiris nefesh. It's the level, the reality of mesiris nefesh we've been talking about earlier in the beginning of Perek Ches. That's the tshuva of Yom Kippur. Mikol makoyim im einay oisa tshuva. This tshuva is with a simcha. This tshuva is with a sense of exaltedness and pride and joy and dignity, because the person reveals a part that was never broken, a part that was always wholesome, that no sin and no mistake and no error can destroy. All a person's mistakes, all a person's sins can only affect a certain dimension of the self. But there's a certain core nakuda that remains absolutely whole and confident and divine under all circumstances. It could never ever be affected. That's called the tshuva law. Tshuva law is always with a simcha, and that's generally the tshuva of Yom Kippur. The tshuva of Yom Kippur is this type of tshuva. So he says that's true. Nonetheless, still Yom Kippur needs this movement, this notion, this experience of tshuva. Tshuva law, kiyadua, as it's known. Purim has something that even Yom Kippur doesn't have. And that's why we call it Yom HaKippurim, which means it's like Purim, which sounds like, which intimates that Purim is higher. Yom HaKippurim is like Purim. It's similar to Purim, but it's still not like Purim. What's the mile of Purim? V'inyin mesidus nefesh lehem shahoya l'mayla menat ta'am v'hadas l'gamri. Commotion is boyalael. This is what we said before, that the whole year, from after the Gzeira of Haman, which came out in Nisan, for the next 11 months, till Yud Gimel Adar, the Jewish people, as he said, every single Jew stood with Mesiris Nefesh, with complete dedication, and nobody decided. There were 11 months. It's a long time, and a time when unfortunately, there was a gzeira that every person could kill any Jew they want, a royal decree. As I explained earlier, that even after everything was reversed, this edict was never reversed. Extremely, it was there. And the fight of the Jewish people on Yud Gimel Adar, Yud Dalet Adar, and Shushan was mamish self-defense. It was completely self-defense. And the expression of the Gemara, Haba laharga, chashkem laharga. If they would have, as he said before in the beginning of Ois Ches, if somebody would have said, I don't want to be Jewish, he could have saved his life. He said, nobody had even a machshava schutz chas v'shalom. A machshava, a whole year, to do this. This Mesiris Nefesh was l'mayla min atam v'das l'gamri. Completely transcendent of tam and das. Commotion is boy la'el. Dahainu, what does this mean? Not Mesiris Nefesh, where I want to preserve myself, a greater self, or a reward, or a higher self, or a spiritual self, or eternal life. Without any objective, any desire, any will, any purpose, any self-gain, even the greatest spiritual gain, bilti l'Hashem levade, besides because of their complete oneness with Hashem, just for Hashem himself. Commissioner Boyle has explained earlier the two types of Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh, what we call Mesiras Nefesh, Mesiras Haguf, Mesiras Hachayim, and the ultimate Mesiras Nefesh.
What's the tshuva Elia?
Tshuva Ilah. Yeah, it's brought in Svarim, in Zohar, and in Svarim of Musar, and in Kabbalah, Chassidus, Hashkafa, Rishus Chachma, many Svarim. There's two states of tshuva. There's something called tshuva tata. In Aramaic, tata means lower, like tata is like, and ilah in Aramaic is higher, like elyon, right? Elyon and tachton in Aramaic is called ilah and tata. So there's tshuva tata, which means a lower level of tshuva. When we say lower, it doesn't mean it's a low level. It's amazing. It just means relative. You know, the first floor of the house is a wonderful floor. There's also a second floor. There's the roof. So there's tshuva tata and there's tshuva ilah. So generally, the avodah of Yom Kippur is connected to tshuva ilah, which is a much deeper level of tshuva.
The Purim's even more?
That's what he's saying. Purim is even more. Even greater, yeah. What's the difference? So this state of the Mesiras Nefesh that came out in Purim, you didn't have any other day, not even Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is tshuva, which is unbelievable tshuva, because it's tshuva ilah, which is the concept of Mesiras Nefesh. But because of this experience that happened on Purim, it infused in the days of Purim something that no other day has, not even Yom Kippur. So now you'll ask a question, how could you compare the two? If you ask a regular Jew who knows about the Jewish calendar, which is the most serious day of the year, he'll tell you Yom Kippur. If you ask him which is the most, frivolous, fun, light day of the year, it's Purim. Purim is always seen as, it's a Purim dik, yeah. It's a Purim dik. The ambitions go off, teenagers are smoking everywhere, stopping cars, a gate, Purim is seen as, so to speak, the one day that religion says, okay, you need to get loose. We're giving you one day. But the truth is, this is a very, very superficial idea of Purim. It's the exact opposite. From a chitzonistic point of view, Purim have this type of reputation. Al pi pnimius, it's the opposite. Okay, excellent question. The Geidel was for Yud Gimel. Why is a celebration Yud Dalet? So the Megillah explains. On Yud Gimel, the Jews had to fight for self-defense. This was the day of extermination, Rahman al-Islam. So when they're fighting, they couldn't rest. You can't celebrate in war. On Yud Dalet, they were done. There was one day of self-defense, Yud Gimel. Yud Dalet says, Nachu b'hem Yehudim me'aveim. They relaxed. They could celebrate. In Shushan, the battle was waged also the next day. So they relaxed, they celebrated on Shushan Purim, which is Tesvav. And from here is the distinction of the two Purims. In all the regions of Achashverosh, in all the regions they celebrated, in the other regions of his empire they celebrated Yud Dalet. In Shushan, the capital, they celebrated Tesvav. Because Yud Dalet, there was still a battle. So Mordechai and Esther themselves, and the Jews of Shushan, who were obviously in the vortex of the storm, the capital of the empire, they celebrated Tesvav. When they made the Takana of Purim for Klal Yisrael, which took some time, right? The Megillah had to be written. The Gemara says in Megillah Daf Zayin, it wasn't so pashut. The Chachamim did not want a holiday of Purim. It wasn't simple. Sholchalam Esther l'Chachamim. The Gemara says that Esther sent a message to the Chachamim, Kav'uni l'doiros. Make Purim into a holiday for generations. And you know what they answered? They said, this will increase anti-Semitism. It's not good for us. So Esther said, You got it wrong. Everybody knows the story. At least let the Jews know the story. All their books, all their newspapers have the story. They know the truth. At least Jews should know the truth. It wasn't so partial. And then there was a whole other request, besides it being a Yom Tov, making the Megillah part of the Kisvei HaKodesh, to write down the story becoming part of the Tanakh. That also wasn't a simple feat. They didn't want to do that either. Stam to add a new sefer to Tanakh, to Ksuvim. And Mordechai asked to prove from Chumash that there's room for it. It was a debatable issue. So then, when they made the Yom Tov, they expanded the Shushan Purim to all cities that had Shushan had a wall, a fortress. To all cities that had a fortress, which was similar to Shushan, but interestingly from the days of Yeshua ben Nun. The reason for that is very fascinating. Litain Kovid L'Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael then was desolate; it was destroyed. The Jews were in Babylonia or Persia. That's where Purim happened. It was 70 years after the Churban. In order to honor Eretz Yisrael, even though at that time there was nothing in Eretz Yisrael, it was barren, it was destroyed, it was desolate. Most Jews were gone. In order to give honor to Eretz Yisrael, when they made the Takon of Shushan Purim, they didn't say any city that has a wall like Shushan. Any city that had a wall from the days of Yeshua ben Nun, that became the paradigm to be able to go into Shushan Purim. Even though today it didn't have, even though at that time the wall was destroyed. In other words, they were giving honor to the history and the glorious past of Eretz Yisrael, which itself is a fascinating thing. It's not for now. Why over there did they decide to give honor to Eretz Yisrael? The whole action happened in Persia, but they made sure to give honor to Eretz Yisrael. So I'll call upon them. So superficially, one could think Yom Kippur is the serious day of Judaism, and Purim is the lightheaded day. It's the lightheaded day. But Oymeka Inyan is the opposite. Not that Yom Kippur is a lightheaded day. Yom Kippur is a serious day. But Purim has a depth to it, an amkus to it, that in a particular sense is deeper than Yom Kippur. What's the Havana? So he says, "V'zeu al kein karolei amamei Purim vehem yemei mishta v'simcha." Unlike Yom Kippur, which you don't feast, it's not a celebration, a holiday of feasting. Purim was made yemei mishta v'simcha. Shubchinas his galus oides bekelim dafka. The idea of yemei mishta v'simcha represents that there's a revelation of oides, of lights in kelim, in vessels. Because the simcha represents that the oir, the light of Purim, could be enclosed within the realm of a person's vessels. Yom Kippur is a day of absolute transcendence, like it says in Tur, Doimen Kimalachim, the Jews are like angels. You dress like an angel, you don't eat, you don't drink. There are people, there's a minhag that's brought in Poskim of people who would stand the whole Yom Kippur. Because the Malachim HaOyim, they wouldn't sit Yom Kippur. They wouldn't get into a bed on Yom Kippur. They wouldn't even sit down on a tree Yom Kippur. But even according to the halacha, where you could sit on Yom Kippur or sleep, but the dressing and the fasting, no eating and no drinking and no other, it's basically a day of transcendence, so to speak. A Jew segregates himself from the world and indulges himself for 24 hours in a cocoon of kedusha, of holiness. It says, Doimen Kamalachim, they're like angels. They're like angels. And as Yom Kippur continues, that feeling, that sense continues until the peak of Ne'ilah at the end of Yom Kippur, Hashem Hu Elokim. So that's the experience of Yom Kippur. And in that state of mind, it's the longest day in terms of davening. People are in shul all day, in the morning and in the afternoon and in the evening and the night before, and all of the viduyim. Yom Kippur is a day unto itself. So besides it not being a day of work like Shabbos and Yom Tov, within that itself, there's no relationship to the God. Very little. There is, obviously, we live in the world, but there's minimal relationship to the material aspects of the world, pursuing them, nurturing them, and taking care of them. Purim is the exact opposite. Purim is Yemei Mishta and Yemei Simcha, and you see that the mitzvahs of Purim revolve around food and around the physical. Even Matanas Lav Yoinim, you're giving money to the poor to be able to buy their food or whatever they want. Mishloach Manas, one day a year, there's a mitzvah to exchange gifts, and not gifts of words or wisdom or inspiration or anecdotes or histories. No, mishloach manas. It's about giving food. And then there's the third mitzvah, which is Sudas Purim. Mishta v'simcha. You should have to have a meal, have to have a feast. And on this the Gemara says in Megillah, Chayev inish, Amar Rava, Chayev inish l'psuma b'Purim. To drink and drink extensively. This is unique to Purim. There's the fourth mitzvah of Purim, which is reading the Megillah, which is reading the story of Purim. This is like, so the trend here, the focus is mamish the antithesis of Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is a day in heaven, so to speak. Doimen kemalachim. And Purim is a day of his slapshus. That's what he says. Oiris bekalim. Oiris bekalim is an expression that the oir comes into the kalim. Kalim means into the vessels. Vessels means into the reality of a person's life as he is, and into the reality of the world as is. It's not the oir transcends upward, but on the contrary, it's revealed, it's manifested within the vessels. When the Navi describes the future, the Lashon in Yirmiyahu, the end of Yirmiyahu is B'pchiyavayu. They're going to come with tears. What's pshat? When does a person start crying? Overwhelmed. You have an emotion. The way he puts it, the oir cannot come into a keli. That's what causes weeping. A person starts crying. There's an intense emotion, and there's no kalim that contain it in an easy way. It's an overwhelming. It's so intense. So a person bursts out in tears. Tears represents an emotion that is deeper in the person, and it's not restricted. He hasn't yet carved out a container for this emotion, so the person bursts out in tears. It expresses an intense oir that transcends a keli. That's why one person can hear something, another person hears the same story. One person reacts in one way, the other person bursts out crying. Yeah. So Pchi is a representation of a certain intensity of an oir that I have not yet carved out a place where it sits in me. There's no filing cabinet for it. That's what Pchi is. That's why, a person in touch with their emotions cries. You hear something and almost spontaneously you start crying. So, La'asid Lavid, there's going to be such a gilui. Why are they going to be crying? He's not going to be crying. Crying is not always sadness. Sometimes there's such an oir, and there's no keli for it, you start crying. It could be even a very positive thing. That's why Yirmiyah says, B'pchiyavoy, they're going to come crying. It says in Zohar that when Rabbi Akiva was learning Shir HaShirim, he would cry. What's there to cry in Shir HaShirim? Zolgoen of Demayas. There's different types of tears. It was Demayas, could be Demayas of tremendous ecstasy. Tremendous ecstasy. You start crying from distractions, from emotion, not because of something negative. It's actually something extremely positive, but it's higher than your kalim. The Chiddush here is Purim. Aval b'Purim shezochu l'mayli yisera v'b'chinas mesidus nefesh ha'amiti ha'niskei la'el. Purim represents what came out was the ultimate truest mesidus nefesh, the one that we described before, real mesidus nefesh. Liyos dvukim ba'atzmus eidin seif. What came out was the dvekus, the intimacy, the oneness with the essence of eidin seif, the core atzmos. Sheyuchal lishkin bekli gam b'meshel ha'yachal ha'kli lisber ha'oid al pi ha'ishtalshelus me'akar shulamayla habim min ha'ishtalshelus. This can come into a keli. Even normally, a keli would not be able to contain the oir, because the oir is what's called l'mayla min ha'ishtalshelus, and the keli is ishtalshelus. L'mayla min ha'ishtalshelus means it's beyond the evolution of the world, so there's no keli for it. Like we learned in the previous Maimer, when a teacher teaches, you always have to bring it into the keli. If not, it overwhelms people. You have to explain it in a way that can be contained by the recipient. The whole ishtalshelus is basically how Hashem restricts his oir to be able to come into the keli. What's into the keli? Every creature has its own keli, its own capacity, its own chemistry. You can't take more than you can take. If not, the keli bursts, the keli gets overwhelmed. So normally the keli can only take the light that relates to the keli. You can only fill up this cup with amount of water, measurement of water that suits the keli. You put the keli in a place where there's a huge current of water, there's no keli left. The keli gets destroyed. That's the b'chiyah vayu, because it's tremendous gilui, and that is a chiddush of Purim. The chiddush of Purim is, it's oiris b'kelim. That which l'chayr is completely beyond the shtalshalus, it could come into the keli. Me'achar shulamayla harbim min ha'shtalshalus.
The keli expands himself, or just the iris could fit.
In this type of Mesiris Nefesh, the keli is not a contradiction to the oir. In this type of Mesiris Nefesh, where there's no ego, there's no I separate, where there's complete vekus and atzmos in soif, so the keli is not a stida to the oir. The two could be synchronized fully. We'll see. Because it's l'mayla harbe min ha'shtalshlus. U'lekachim nekroyim yimei mishta v'simcha. Ki nichnas yayin yoytze hasoid. The Gemara says when wine comes in, the secret comes out. What's pshat it comes out? Dafke, b'bchinas hagilui b'kelim dafke. The soy doesn't have to remain a secret. Nichnas yayin yotzei doesn't only mean you drink, secrets come out. The Gemara says in Eruvin, yayin is the gematria of 70, and soid is the gematria of 70. Yud nun is 70, soid is 66, and 4 is 70. Because wine comes in, and secrets come out. When people are inebriated, they're intoxicated, they'll tell you things they usually don't say, right? You see people when they drink a little bit, or they drink, especially they drink a lot, yeah, they say, I love you. They'll never tell you a whole year that they love you. They'll hug you, they'll tell you things. They're more, I guess, smart. Whatever it is. Nichnas yayin yotzei, or sometimes they'll reveal things that you wouldn't hear. Nichnas yayin yotzei. Yeah, that's what you see. That's what the Gemara means. When people drink, they're a little tipsy, maybe it takes over the edge, a little less self-conscious. We're not talking about the disease of alcoholism. You have to be careful not to confuse the two. But the concept is nichnas yayin yotzei. So he says here, but it's deeper. Pshat yotzei means something much deeper. There's certain things in life that are secrets, be'etzem secrets. Even when they come out, they're secrets. They can't come out. They're soidas. The chiddush of Purim is that the soid could come out. In other words, it could come into the kelim. That which is essentially a soid, it's essentially a secret. That's how he teaches. Not the secrets about my personal life that I'm going to tell you on Purim if I'm enough drunk. There's something much deeper. That you could do any day. Nichnas yayin yotzei soid is that which is be'etzem an inyan of soid. It's an inyan of a secret. It's an intimate secret. It can't come out. It doesn't belong in the world of outside. It can't be yotzei. That's the chiddush, that there should be a gili b'kelim. This is the love of the light that transcends even the world of Atzilus. In Atzilus Taka, the Keli would not be soivel such an Ava. It wouldn't be able to contain it. It would need a restriction. This is something that is completely beyond, and because it's completely beyond, it can go into a lower place. Because it's a deeper oir, it could come down into a keli, which a lower oir would not be able to come into the keli unless it's seriously restricted. V'dal v'day l'mev, and this will be enough to he who understands.
Does sod also mean foundation?
That's yisoid with a yud. This is soid as secret. In other words, that which is completely aloof, sublime. A secret here in the sense is not like a secret. It's confidential. It's like private. But a soid means something that's be'etzem a secret. It's a secret even from you.
Essence.
Yeah, the essence. Even for you, it's a secret. There are soidas that even from me, they're secrets. I don't have access to them. I don't know them. It's beyond. That's what we're talking about. The goyrel, the Mesiris Nefesh, the beyond Tam V'das, etc. In order to clarify this a little bit, it's a very deep concept here. Maybe one way to convey it, the Nakuda that he's saying here, a little bit kitzer, is I'll read to you a Mishnah Let me just open it up here. One of the Mishnayos here. Okay, I'll open it. A Mishnah Masechta Kelim. Mishnayos Kelim. Perek Yud Zayin. Perek Yud Zayin. It might sound a little confusing, but if you'll stay tuned, you'll understand it. There's a Mishnah Maseches Kelim. Masechta Kelim is longest Masechtas in Shas, in Mishnayos, 30 chapters, and it deals with the vessels, types of vessels, Kelim, utensils, that are susceptible to Tumah, and how the halachas of Tumah relate, Tumah and Tara, pure and impure, relate to these Kelim. Now, Mishnayos is generally a work of halacha. Rarely are you going to have references to things outside of halacha. I mean, once in a while you'll have a little story, which usually leads to halacha, like in the first Mishnah of the whole Shas, Maseches Brachos. There's the story of the children of Ram Gamliel coming back from a chasana, and they told me they didn't read Kriya Shema yet. So he told them what to do. So that's what you'll have in Mishnah. In Kelim Perek Yud Zayin, Mishnah Yudalid, there's a strange Mishnah. Why do I say strange? The Mishnah makes sense, but the Mefarshim struggle how this Mishnah comes into Mishnayos. It says like this: V'yesh b'meshe nivre b'yom harishon tumah, b'sheni ein by tumah, b'shlishi yesh by tumah, b'revi b'chamishi ein b'em tumah, chutz meknaf ha'oiz u'beitzas namis ha'metzupa, v'chol shenivre b'yom hashishi tameh. The Mishnah basically goes through the 6 days of creation, from Sunday through Friday. And it says, there were things created on Sunday that if you make a utensil from it, it's susceptible to Tumah. Why? What was created on the first day? Bereshis bara Elokim hashamayim v'sa'aretz. If you take earth and you turn it into pottery, it's called clay cheres, earthenware vessels, it's susceptible to Tumah. If it's in a house, and somebody, Chas v'sholem, passes away in the house, the clay cheres is tamei. Or if a sheretz, a dead rodent that's tamei, falls into the cavity, goes into the space, the ear space of the clay cheres, it's tamei. So that means that which was created on Sunday is susceptible to tumah. If you make a keli out of it, it's susceptible to tumah. Then the Mishnah is, b'sheni ein by tumah. From that which was created on Monday, you'll never be able to make something that's Mekabel Tumah. B'sheni ein b'tumah. Why? What was created on Sheni? Rakia, the firmament, the heavens. Right? That's what happened on Sheni. From the Rakia, from the firmament, you're not making a vessel, and it's not Mekabel Tumah. B'shlishi, from what was created on Tuesday, you could make things that are Mekabel Tumah. What was created on Tuesday? All the trees, all vegetation, all produce, which means you could make from it clay eights, wooden vessels. And clay eights, if you have a wooden bowl a wooden cup, it's makabel tumah, it's susceptible to tumah. Classic tumah, biblical tumah. That's Tuesday. Revi, no. What happened Revi? Sun, moon, galaxies, how are they going to be makabel tumah? What, are you going to make a keli out of the moon? Ma? Well, they're landing on the moon now. Israel is landing on the moon. Shatayva Motzlachas. It's not makabel tumah. Okay. Chamishi, I'm going to skip for a moment. You'll soon see why. And then he says, Shishi, again, is makabel tumah. What was created on Shishi? All the chayas, all the animals, all the mammals, all the rodents. Yeah. A person, that makabel tumah. A person is makabel tumah. And if you make a keli from their bones or from their hide, right? A keli from leather, for example. Clothes of leather, a keli from leather. Just one example. It's makabel tumah. So we have here, Azai, Sunday yes, Monday no, Tuesday yes, Wednesday no, Friday yes. What's with Thursday? So he says Thursday, b'chamishi, ein bem tumah. Wednesday no, Friday yes. He says Tuesday ein bem tumah, but there's an exception on Tuesday. Thursday. Tuesday is yes tumah. Wednesday is no tumah. He says Thursday weiter no tumah. Chutz miknaf ha'ois ubeitzas namis hametzupa. Thursday is the day of fish and birds. Clay dog, kalim that are made from dagim are not makabel tumah. Even if you take the skin of a fish, you turn it into keli, it's not makabel tumah. Okay. But there's a knaf ha'ois ubeitzas namis hametzupa. Namis is an ostrich. You ever saw the eggs of an ostrich? They're could be like a basketball and pretty strong. That beitza, if you take that beitza and it's mitzupa, it's plated. Yeah, it's called basayana. So what happens is, because the egg is so strong, so it was used as a keli. Because it's usually an egg, it's not going to last. You know, you give it a little push, it's over. But here, the Rabbanon said that the beitza of an ostrich, an egg of an ostrich, if it's plated, it's makabel tumah. Regular eggs, even if you plate them, even if you decorate them, it's not makabel tumah because it's not going to last. But an ostrich's egg, if it's plated, the rabbi said the makabel tumah. Another thing is called knaf ha'azniya. Knaf ha'azniya is a bird of azniya is the bird of a what? A crow, I believe. Yeah. A raven. Knaf ha'azniya. It's a very powerful wing. It's a very powerful wing. Azniya. Ayin Zayin Nun Yud Hey. So the bird of an azniya, it's a very powerful wing. So people, again, would make kalim from it. So even though biblically, when you make a keli from a bird or a fish, it's not makabel tumah because it's such a powerful keli and people would use it, so the rabbis were afraid you're going to exchange it with a regular keli, and therefore they were geyser tumah on this. So what's the conclusion of this Mishnah? Sunday, yes tumah. Monday, no tumah. Tuesday, yes tumah. Wednesday, no tumah. Friday, yes tumah. Thursday, no tumah, with two exceptions. The wing of an azniya bird with a rabbanon were geyser tumah, and the keli that you make from the plated egg of an ostrich. That's the end of the Mishnah. What is the Mishnah trying to do here? What are you mixing in creation there? It's very straight. Mishnah is usually this is. You could say everything could be clear. You could say earth is makabel tumah. We already learned that. What's pushing the Mishnah to associate this with different days of creation? There's something. So if it was a sefer stam of gedanken and ashkafa mela, but it's a sefer of halacha. That's what Mishnah says. What's the Mishnah trying to say? So some say it's a simon. It's a nice simon to remember. It's a simon to remember. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But l'chayra, there's not so much information here that you're giving up a simon. In other words, you anyway have to know what was created on those days. It's not like you have a word and you have it all there. You have to know what says your smebereshes. So there's a word from the Yid HaKadosh. It's a hafla de kavart. And here the Balatanya, we can understand the word very well. He says, you see in the calendar that Yom Kippur can't fall out on certain days. Which days can't Yom Kippur fall out on? So just like we have on Rosh Hashanah, we say Lo Yadu Rosh. Rosh Hashanah can't be on a Sunday or a Wednesday or a Friday. When it comes to Yom Kippur, the klal is Yom Kippur can't be on the following 3 days. Bigu. I'm sorry, Yom Kippur will never be on a Sunday, Aleph. It'll never be on a Tuesday. And it will never be on a Friday. Never. You will have Yom Kippur on Monday. You will have Yom Kippur on Wednesday. You will have Yom Kippur on Shabbos. Okay? You're never ever going to have Yom Kippur on a Sunday. You never remember Yom Kippur on a Sunday, or on a Tuesday, or on a Friday. You're never going to have Yom Kippur out of Shabbos, right? You're going to have Yom Kippur on Monday, you'll have Yom Kippur Wednesday, and you'll have Yom Kippur on Shabbos. Just hold on with Thursday for a moment. Purim is the exact opposite. Purim is the exact opposite. You'll never ever have Purim on Monday. You'll never ever have Purim on Wednesday. You never have Purim on Shabbos. The exact opposite. Purim you'll have on Sunday. Purim you'll have on Tuesday. Purim you'll have on Friday. We have Purim out of Shabbos. You go into Shabbos. You'll never ever have Purim on the 3 days when Yom Kippur could come out, and you'll never have Yom Kippur on the 3 days that Purim come out. They remain mutually exclusive. It's not that some years there's an overlap. You'll never ever have Yom Kippur on Sunday, Tuesday, Friday. You'll never ever have Purim on Monday, Wednesday, and Shabbos, according to our calendar, ever. Why? That's what the Mishnah is explaining. Because this is the fundamental difference between Yom Kippur and Purim. Yom Kippur represents a day when Tumah wasn't created. It's higher than Tumah. It's higher than impurity. It's days when the stuff of creation don't lend themselves to Tumah. That's Yom Kippur. That's why it's the day of transcendence. It's a day when a Jew leaves the world of Tumah and goes into a world of heaven, a world of Tara. Why is Monday not Makabel Tumah? Because it's Rakia. Why is Wednesday not Makabel Tumah? Because it's Rakia, because it's heaven. You're in the stars. You're in the moon. You're in the sun. Today we already, Megali, you could bring to the moon some stuff from the earth also. But generally, heaven is removed. It's not part of the corruption of the tomb of our world. There's not so much to sin in outer space. Maybe they're going to change that in the next few years. But you can't sin so much out of space. Here on earth, you can get Gans Tameh. It's a different universe. It's a completely different reality. It's physically and also spiritually what heaven represents. And then there's Shabbos. Shabbos is B'chal no creation. Shabbos is Kivoy Shavas B'yom Hashvi. It's higher than the Bria. That's Yom Kippur. Purim is the opposite. The Chiddush of Purim is that Purim is not a day when you segregate from the world. You're telling me that Purim is the same level of intensity of Yom Kippur and even deeper? Haba Hatalia. Because Yom Kippur represents the ultimate Vekas with the true ultimate Atzmus Ein Sof, that never has to run away from any situation. Fakert. It could come into a place where there's l'chayre tumah, where there's impurity. Yom Kippur, you say, a Jew is segregated. It's a day of Kedusha. Don't eat. Why? Because eating could be animalistic. Don't drink. Drinking could be animalistic. Intimacy could be hedonistic. All materialism, you're involved with materialism, it lends itself to the Yetzer Hara. The Chiddush of Purim is, no, there's a mitzvah of Mishnah. There's a mitzvah of Simcha. Because the Purim is such an intense, powerful level of the ultimate Kedusha, there's complete integration. There's complete unity. You don't segregate from the world of Tumah. Fakert. It infuses, it sublimates, it lifts up, and it permeates and penetrates. the physical, most physical world, which is Mekabel Tumah, which is the concept of Sunday, earth, and Tuesday, wood, lumber, vegetation, comes from the earth, and Friday, which is humans, and Shratzim, and Avelis, and Behemoths, and Chayas, all earth, and the Kalim made from them. That's the Chiddush. Purim is only those days. Can't be other days. Because the whole idea of Purim is, as he said, the Ur comes into the Keli. The Ur changes the world. There's no need for asceticism, for precious. There's an union of Yom Kippur, Kodesh HaKadoshim. The Chiddush of Purim is, because it's even deeper, there's no place that it can't reach. It reaches into every single place. There's one exception. Thursday. Thursday is the only day where Yom Kippur and Purim could come together. This year. Purim could be on Thursday, Yom Kippur could be on Thursday. It's a strange thing. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Shabbos, they never get along. If the day belongs to Yom Kippur, Purim says, sorry, it's not for me. If the day belongs to Purim, Yom Kippur says, it's not for me. One day is different, Thursday. Oh, now go see. You'll see the beauty and the Mesikis and how the emes dikait of Torah. Torah Seino Hagdash. What's Thursday? Thursday, the Mishnah says, is also not Mekabel Tumah, besides two things. The bird of the Ozniyah and the Beitzes HaMetzupa, the plated egg of the ostrich. And as the Bartuna and the Mefarshim say, that's Midirabbanan. Because it was so commonly used by people as kalim, the egg of an ostrich. So when they played it, and it doesn't look like a regular egg anymore, you may confuse it with a regular keli in your kitchen. And therefore they were goyzer to man it, and the same is true with the Kanov Havazni. But Minat Torah, it's not Mekabel Tumah. Yom Kippur is the Chayom Tif Minat Torah, biblically. So Yom Kippur could be on Thursday, because Thursday is a day that's not Mekabel Tumah. But Purim is the Chayom Tif Midivrei Seifrim. It's not a Yom Tif Minat Torah. There's no Purim in Torah. Purim was instituted by the Sanhedrin and by the Nevi'im of the generation of Mordechai and Esther. It's a rabbinic Yom Tif. So Purim is on a day that's Mekabel Tumah, because Midirabbanan, Thursday is Mekabel Tumah. So Thursday is the only day that can be Purim and Yom Kippur, because Thursday is a day that Minat Torah there's no Tumah, Midirabbanan there is Tumah. So Yom Kippur could be on Thursday because there's no Tumah. From Yom Kippur's world there's no Tumah. Purim could be on Thursday because there is Tumah. But the other days where it's either or, they belong only to Purim, only to Yom Kippur. So it's not just, it happens to be Purim is a day that we eat. Fundamentally, organically, Purim could only be celebrated in those days where there's room for Tumah. Yom Kippur could be celebrated on those days where there's no room for Tumah. And that's why Thursday is the only day where they overlap, like this year, Taka, where it's Thursday. And I saw Rabbi Menachem Zemba. Rabbi Menachem Zemba was killed during the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, Pesach 1943, the Goyim of Varsha. So I saw Rabbi Menachem Zemba has a letter, and he says, he quotes this explanation from the Yid HaKadosh, who was one of the great Hasidic masters, and he says, according to all of this, you could say halachically, that's why the Mishnah had to write it, to tell you a din, that when they had to make the calendar, which days they could make Yom Kippur, and which days they could make Purim. So it's a halacha of how to make the calendar. Because for many generations there was no calendar. Purim could be on Shabbos. And that's where the Gemara says in a few places that when Purim falls out on Shabbos, you don't read the Megillah because of Gzeira de Rabbah. Just like we don't do Shofar and Lulav on Shabbos. But once they made the calendar, Purim can't be on Shabbos. Yom Kippur is on Shabbos, could be. Purim can't be on Shabbos, just like Purim can't be on Monday, just like Purim can't be on Wednesday, just like Purim can't be on Shabbos, right? So he says, this din comes from this Mishnah. The Mishnah was describing when to make the calendar for Yom Kippur, when to make the calendar for Purim. What's the Nakuda here? What do we learn from all of this? What's the bottom line? The bottom line is that there's two Tnuas in Avodas Hashem. One Tnuah in Avodas Hashem is the Tnuah of precious, segregation, asceticism. And that's what Yom Kippur represents. That's the holiness of the day when you leave the earth and you go into heaven as much as a person can. That's the Avodah of Yom Kippur. The Avodah of Purim, in a way, is a deeper Avodah. That a person is completely present within the world, and nonetheless, the person can find the ultimate meaning and the ultimate truth and the ultimate value and the ultimate Ein Sof within all of the realities of the human body, of the human guf, and of the human physical self. The guf is the ultimate keli. So you would say Yom Kippur, you got to go a little beyond the guf as much as possible. So there's no achilah, siyah, rechitza, sichin, ilas, sandal, tash, mishamita, everything represented by the guf. It's a day of neshama. Purim is a day dafka of the guf. Why? Because mitzad the ultimate Mesiras Nefesh of Purim, there's nothing that's a stira to this type of oir. There's nothing in the world that becomes a contradiction to this type of oir. It could permeate and penetrate every single nakuda, every nook, every cranny, every facet, every dimension, every nuance of existence, every nuance of the guf, of the physical body and the physical world. Every keli could contain it.
How do you touch Tanua?
Tanua, I meant a style, a tanua. It's the derech, the path. Tanua literally means motion. But it's used as this is a tanua of the tanua of Yom Kippur means the focus. The direction of Yom Kippur is one of asceticism, and the direction of Purim is the exact opposite. Somebody is going to decide on Purim. It's such a holy day. I learned in Torah that Purim is holier than Yom Kippur, so I'll lock myself up in my room. I'll fast. Right? I'll fast. I won't eat. I won't drink. There's no Purim. You're being over on the mitzvahs of Purim. You have to go and bring a gift of food to a chaver of yours. It's true. You don't have to give the whole munsi. And the shalach manas doesn't have to be $600. And you don't have to put in the crystal dishes. V'chuli. Mishloach manas means you take an orange and you take a hamantash and you give it to a chaver and you eat some shalach manas. But you have to take that food. And Matanas Lavyoinim and Sudas Purim, I can't do Sudas Purim and meditate on the Maila of Purim. Sudas Purim has to be with physical food and Chayav and Ishlipsumah. In fact, one of the reasons for Mishloach Manas, right, Reb Shlomo Al-Kabetz brings in a Sefer Manas Halevi, is because one of the reasons for Matanas Lavyoinim is to be able to have Sudas Purim. Mishloach Manas is to be able to have Sudas Purim. The Gemara says that when they didn't have Sudas Purim, they used to exchange Shalach Manas to each other. And the same is true, obviously, with Chayav and Ishlipsumah B'Puria, and the Megillah, etc. So b'meila, that's the whole. So what does Purim represents? Purim represents the ability of a person to understand that ultimate Mesiras Nefesh doesn't mean I run away from the world. Ultimate Mesiras Nefesh means that wherever I am, complete presence, wherever I am, in my body, in my matzav, in my reality, I'm capable of having complete dvekus, complete oneness with the essence of Ein Sof, with no compromise whatsoever. And on the contrary, the higher you go, the deeper you go, the more into Kalim you go. When it's something that is a limited then it's also limited where it can reach. Something that's truly, truly unlimited, what he calls the Atzmus Ein Sof, there's no limit where it could reach. It doesn't have to be restricted. There's no place that's off limits. Basically, God, I'm too low for you. I'm too low. When you touch the real truth, there's absolutely no limit where it can go. When you touch a lower level of there's cheshbonis. Here I can go, here I can't go. This is too restrictive. Your keli won't be able to take me, and so forth. When you go to the deepest place, then because you touch the deepest then nothing is off limit. It can reach everything. It can reach everywhere. That's the Chiddush of Purim.
I learned that the light of Yom Kippur is Keser, is manifested with Keser. So that light, you're saying, is manifest in Purim, in all the Kalim.
In all the Kalim. That's why the beginning of the Megillah is Kalim Mikalim Shainim. Right?
The argument between Hasidim and Misnagim, the core.
What do you mean?
Yes, the idea of the Hasidim bringing in the worldly things into being the holiest, and the Misnagim saying no, the holiness is really the opposite. It's not the Gashmias.
Interesting. But the truth is, in Yiddishkeit, in other words, there's the concept of Yom Kippur and the concept of Purim. Both have a very powerful truth. Right? In other words, for a person to be able to celebrate Purim, they have to have Yom Kippur. Because if not, the person can also misinterpret it in the opposite extreme. Right? So this Totanuas, yeah?
But the Mishnah Kelim is only referring to Yedam. Tezvav, it's a Shushan from can fall out on all these things. So what's the message of that?
I guess you drank so much on Purim, you need a little Yom Kippur. The next day you need a little Yom Kippur. I hear you, Ha'ara.
Are celebrating it on the same day of the week that Yom Kippur falls.
So I'm telling you, no.
It's for us. What about for people in Shushan Purim? In the Yerushalayim, let's say, the fact that Purim for them is on Yom Kippur.
Yeah, the fact, I guess, that the Rav Klal Yisrael celebrates Purim on Purim, I mean, that's the Nekuda of Purim. I guess if it's Mukaf Chayma, if Yitaka is surrounded by a wall, it's more like Yom Kippur. It's a famous Svasemes. He explains the difference of Yehuda and Yosef. Yehuda, his chelik was Yerushalayim in Eretz Yisrael. Yosef, his territory was Shiloh. In Shiloh there was a Mishkan for 369 years. In Yerushalayim you had the Beis HaMikdash for more than 800 years. Halachically there's a difference between the two. Very interesting halacha. In Mesachas Zvachim Kuf Tezayin, a Mishnah. By the Beis HaMikdash, if you were makriv of a carbon, you can eat it in the whole city of Yerushalayim, the old city of Yerushalayim, but only within the wall. It's called Kachem Kalim. Let's say you made makriv a carbon Pesach, a carbon Toida, a carbon Shlamim. A lot of the carbonas, right? You could take it out of the Beis HaMikdash, go home. Like the carbon Pesach, you would go home and you would have a barbecue and everybody would eat it in Yerushalayim. What if you take it out of the walls of Yerushalayim? Nifsal b'yotza. It's such holy meat. If you take it out of the atmosphere of Yerushalayim, it's like allergic. It gets disqualified. You have to burn it. You can't eat it anymore. Why? Because it has to remain in the avira, in the luft, in the atmosphere, in the ambiance of Yerushalayim to maintain its kedusha. If you take it out, right? So it's like, somebody, the opposite, somebody with a with a failed immune system, a patient whose immune system is very, very sensitive, right? You have to keep them quarantined in certain environments. You tell them, don't go to a chasana, don't go out, don't go to, why? Because you don't have the immunity to be able to fight back the bacteria, the germs that may enter your body. So we have that concept also spiritually speaking, that the atmosphere of Yerushalayim is a different atmosphere. It's a holy atmosphere. So the meat of the carbon could be there. If you take it outside, you take it onto Kvish Mispar Shesh, going to Tel Aviv, there's already too much going on, and the meat becomes disqualified. It gets, so to speak, different types of energy, and you can't eat it as a carbon. That's the halach in Yerushalayim. When it came to Shiloh, the halacha changed. There was no chayma around Shiloh. So the halacha is, the lashon of Chazal is niskadesh b'kol haraya, which means you could take the meat as far as you want, even miles and miles away from the Mishkan, and eat it there as long as you could see the Mishkan. In other words, theoretically, you could be, if it's a nice day, you could be 50 miles down the road, 50 miles away, go on a mountain, see the Mishkan, and you can eat the carbon there. In other words, it's not confined to the walls of Yerushalayim. It could be far, far away as long as you could see the Mishkan. So he explains that was the chiluk of Yehuda and Yosef in their hashkafa. Yehuda believed that kedusha has to remain within a chayma, within a confinement. Hoysa Yehuda lekatshai. That was the shit of Yehuda. So therefore in Eretz Yisrael also, it comes into Yerushalayim, you can only bring the kachim inside of Yerushalayim. Yosef's shitta was l'sakin oilam b'malchus shendalad yud. That the truth of godliness ultimately has to change the whole world. The whole universe can be transformed. There's no walls where kedusha has to remain in order to survive. On the contrary, you can go to the furthest places with one condition: you have to be able to see. You have to be able to see the Mishkan. If you can open your eyes and see the Mishkan over there, you could see kedusha there. This becomes holy. You can eat karbanos right here. What happened to Yosef? He went to Ervas Haaretz. He went to the lowest place. But in a moment of truth, he saw Yaakov representing the Shechina, the Mishkan, one of the Avos. He saw the Muz the Yogan Yaakov of Rabbi Chalayin. Vayonos vayetze hachutza. Vayetze hachutza. He didn't have to be in a chayme. He could be in the furthest place. But Muz the Yogan Yaakov of Rabbi Chalayin says this was a big machlokes between Yehuda and Yosef. This was the brothers and Yosef. This was a huge machlokes. And it comes out in halacha in Yerushalayim versus Mishkan Shiloh. And Taka says la'asid lavai prazos teish of Yerushalayim. What's that prazos teish of Yerushalayim? Yerushalayim will sit open, without walls. Literally, it means because there won't be any enemy. You won't need a wall. Spiritually, it means that you won't need a wall to contain the kedusha, because bisman hazeh there's an akudah in Yosef, there's also an akudah in Yehuda, right? If there's no limits, if all the fortresses are down, it sounds very beautiful. But a person who has weaknesses and could be influenced in a bad way, you have to have walls, you have to have gedarim, you have to have boundaries. You can't say no boundaries. Einoid mulvadai. To be able to say Einoid mulvadai, it has to come from a place of strength, not from a place of weakness. If you're vulnerable, then the Einoid mulvadai becomes a mockery. So you have the Tnu of Yehuda, the Tnu of Yosef, until the Zman of Prozes Tesh of Yerushalayim. So Shushan Purim is the Zman of Chayma. That's the union of a Chayma. Like Yerushalayim, Makavas Chames Yeshua Ben Nun. So that's more similar to Yom Kippur. Ken Yeshleima B'derech Efsher. In response to your question. Okay. You were Teufels the Mishnah. You understand the Mishnah? Huh? At the Heuben of Art.
So what was the end about this?
No, he just says about Yehuda and Yosef, Shila and Yerushalayim.
That's what he says.
Yeah. We'll continue now with the Gemara. Huh? Yeah, you could